Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can calculate how much revenue your business needs to generate in order to improve your quality of life. And in this context, in quality of life, I'm saying is how much extra money you need to be making compared to your expenses. And by the end of this video, you have a full breakdown of these three steps to define your monthly expenses, your target income, and calculating your business revenue in order to reach a desired standard of living. So to start with, let's just go back here and start with the first item one that is defining your monthly expenses. So you need to create a list of items that you pay every month. In this example, I have here electricity, water, phone bills, and so on. And for each one of these items, I have a specific cost average that each one of these items has monthly. And in the end, I have here the sum of these items, which is just an Excel sum function that gives us the total monthly expenses in this example of $1,500. The next step is to obtain to define your target income that you need in order to reach this to fulfill these personal expenses. So in this case, I have here several what I'm calling standard of living that are survival, basic, higher, comfortable, secure, and free. And for each one of them, there is a factor that we need to multiply our personal expenses in order to reach that standard of living. For example, if you have if you are in a survival standard of living, so on a factor of 100, your monthly income needs to be what you need to make to pay the bills, which means that you are not really making extra money. You are barely surviving to pay the bills, right? Which is okay. A lot of people are in this situation, and it is usually where people start when they start thinking about generating more revenue. And another case here is if you have a basic standard of living, which is 150% of your personal expenses. And this calculation is just based on the expenses times the standard of living that is desired, times this percentage. And for each one of these items, we have the same calculations, which starts giving us the monthly income that we need to generate in order to reach that standard of living. And I also have here the annual salary required in order to have this amount of income overall, because there is also tax for the government and so on. But just say ballpark what would be the salary for this, the minimum salary. And depending on the value that you are setting for yourself, that and you are saying, okay, if I wanted to have a standard of living that is secure, that means that you would require a monthly target income of 11,250. And similarly, if basic would be good enough for you, then that would be the monthly income of 2,250. I also wanted to point out here in the notice that the how you call the standard of living and the percentage that you give is not important. This is just an arbitrary level setup that I built based on some reading that I did and then coming up with these factors. This is really not important. What really matters is that there are and higher standard of living that depends on what your expense is and how much higher you want how much more income you want to be making compared to your expenses, and that's going to give different values here that should be the target income. So that's how we define our target income, is by defining the desired standard of living, and that gives us this result. The third item here in this list is to determine the monthly revenue required in your business in order to reach this income. So in this example, let's say that the revenue that a business makes, it which is why we have this item here, how much revenue your business needs to generate in order to improve your quality of life. So first we define the quality of life. So now we will find how much revenue. So let's say that out of any revenue your business is making, 60% of the revenue will be used to pay yourself. Then 12% will be to pay the business, to make investments. Then 30% is the taxes. In this case, I'm in Ontario, Canada, so paying taxes is 13% here. And then I have here the 15% of profits or bonus that would be to for the people that work with you, or any type of extra allocation that you want to create, and that these are the value that I have here. Notice that this amount is based on the sum, because overall we need to have 100% of this proportion here. And then here comes the interesting part of this calculation. If you want to pay yourself this amount here, that 60%, to generate your that is your target, how much money should the business itself be making? So this is what I obtained here from this calculation. And the way that we obtain these items is the 4,500 we can see here is coming from the same target. So for example, if I change this to basic, notice that it changes, and the business changes, the business revenue changes as well. Let's keep it here comfortable for the sake of this exercise. So in order to calculate how much your business you need to be making, there is this entire calculation of setting up, knowing the difference, the ratio of the revenue divided by the proportion, and also considering the next item. If you need help understanding this formula, you can always pause this video and see what was done here, so you can replicate this formula on your own. But the bottom line here is that for each one of these items, we can track back how much revenue and what proportion of this money is equivalent to this item in order to produce 100% of revenue. And in the end, this is the amount. In order to validate these calculations, I also just have here on the side the proportion of the total value that was calculated, which is a much simpler calculation to understand. So in this case, 13% of 7,500, and so on. And then I have this validation here that's basically saying, is this number equals to this one? So basically saying, is the super complicated calculation equals to the super simple calculation that I know is right? And if they are equals, give a correct. If not, give me something else so that I can use it to review. In this case, let's see here. If I had a value here that would be 750, whatever, so this would show review. Or if I calculated something here that would be 750, then everything is wrong because the calculation don't make sense anymore. But that's how we would be setting up and calculating how much money our business needs to make in order so that 60% of this revenue is mine, that I can add, is for my own income, that then gives me this desired standard of living. So, but then this bears the question, what can I do in order to reach this amount of revenue? How much can I sell? How can I practice my things? How long it would take for me to reach that? And if that is something that would be interested in learning more, how to determine a market strategy to reach a desired revenue, then let me know in the comments, and I will take a look at the need. And I have some ideas of some stuff that I was working on, and I'll be glad to share with you. But I will only do that if people wanna see it. So make sure to like and subscribe, ring the bell if you would like to see more calculations, marketing, business, finances, and we'll work on something together. Okay? Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.